Hello, Mr. So-and-so here. So, Loki released the new character, at least partly, so at some point Gazillion changed the release schedule for characters. Now, instead of all regions receiving new content at the same day, it's always one day later for the EU. Before we had items between, I think, 6 or 9 hours in advance to the US, and now we only receive items, normally you would say, 18 hours afterwards on the next day, which is weird enough. And I just checked, you can click on this and you land in the PSN store, but there is no price tag to Loki, so even though it's 12 a.m. or past 12 a.m. meanwhile, here in Germany you can still purchase him. So in that case, I would only be able to play him to level 10 anyway, so let's see if I bother purchasing him during the weekend then. Anyway, at least I can give you a short overview. We can have a look at the costumes first. There's 2 costumes, and of course, as you probably all know, I'm a huge fan of capes, so my favorite classic Loki costume actually received a terrible cape. So, therefore now the alternate costume is even worse. It's Agent Loki, so definitely something, not because of the quality of the costume, but personally I simply hate the look here. And we already have seen pictures of the Ragnarok movie costume for Loki, and in addition, Ezra's mentioned I think 4 costumes in total, and one would be a capeless version, so I assume it will be the story basic Loki costume here, the classic one without the cape, luckily, hopefully. Now, the pack, as usual, comes with 2 marvelous loot boxes, 2 boosts, I think, experience boosts again, and of course the character and both costumes. Now, for the traits, Master Sorcerer, summon power damage, and damage in general. Now, pretty interesting is durability and intelligence, and that seems to be the traits also for Emma Frost in PC, at least as long as she's in diamond form. Then we have Arcane Shield and Lord of Lies, where you can summon illusions of yourself on certain attacks. Oh, my bad, sorry. So, for the powers, we have God of Many Realms and Master of Sorcery. Now, the basic attack you unlock first here is Graham, and it actually costs spirit, so people already mentioned it's pretty hard to keep up the spirit with him, in particular because he doesn't have a non-spirit attack before level 6, so I assume that would be Anthrel. Spirit cost? No, maybe 4? Neither, maybe 8, and yeah, that seems to be it. Someone mentioned an attack at level 6, so in that case it would be 8. Spatial Deception. You can see you can summon an illusion and it doesn't cost spirit. Now otherwise, what do we have here? Spirits of the Dead, a ranged attack. Then we have Darkness, Enchantment, and Magic, so at least 2 new damage tags. Then of course Sword. In addition, ranged eyes, enchantment, magic, staff as well. So it seems it will be quite a hassle if you are trying to up certain damage stats, considering that he has so many. Light, in addition to darkness, of course, enchantment again. burning and fire. And the signature here would be ranged and magic. Now, Master of Sorcery seems to be more based on ranged attacks again, or here teleporting, of course. Ranged again, ranged and magic, weakening the enemy. Ranged and magic again. More illusions. Immobilizing. And another summon attack. And there you go, you also have to have summoned illusion to activate this power here. Now for the talents. Maker of Mischief. So more illusions and summon power damage. Enchantment powers here, gaining new benefits. And while you enchant Graham, by the way, Graham is of course Loki's sword, you also buff yourself as well as allies here with the guarded effect. Then we have the second tier Frost Nova. Critical hits guaranteed, and enchanting Graham plus ice power damage. And there you go, paying attention of course what Graham is enchanted with. So at least he seems interesting, though again I still can't purchase him for whatever reason, even though I waited till 12 AM. Then we have Soul Crush, not confusing enemies anymore. And instead of that we get more darkness power and more Graham damage when you have hell magic on Graham. Incinerate, more damage to burning enemies, and again paying attention to what Graham is enchanted with. Okay, more crit chance. Seems to be quite a few ice bonuses. So you get summons that also attack from range here. Again, additional effects when Graham is enchanted. More firepower damage. Darkness power damage. And a little bit more cold, so no more stealth, but instead damage absorption. Healing yourself could also be interesting. No idea yet, of course, how squishy he actually is. And Searing Embers. More projectiles and enchanting Graham. Now, the synergies, the ultimate first, of course. So Nornstones, of course, yeah, that will take some time before I could use that. And the synergies, or yeah, the two synergy effects for Loki. There he is. So of course great for some of the characters, minus 5% power spirit cost, in particular for a character as Black Panther, where you really have to counter the spirit issues. Also more damage to slow targets. Seems interesting, in particular maybe for my Black Panther, considering I'm using Cryo Dagger, so constantly slowing and freezing enemies. Yeah, so much for that. So let's see if I might be able to purchase him, and otherwise more during the weekend. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.